my name is Lipnicki, and I am the business development team leader here at Ion Interactive. I'm really excited to talk to you all today about how you can manage the successful handoff of an opportunity and really how you're going to be able to manage those different rules of engagement between the BDRs and your AEs. Just to take a quick step back, a little bit about me. I am working at Ion Interactive. We were recently acquired by Scribble Live. I started out here in April, about a year and a half ago, as a BDR, and I was promoted within 8 months to the BDR team lead. I also have a golden doodle. His name is Winston. He has a disease named megaesophagus, so he actually has to sit in that chair for all of his meals. And I am a proud alum of the Florida State University. So the first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to being successful in your transitions from your opportunity stages is really having a solid understanding of every stage of your different pipeline. For right now, I really want to focus on early stage and what it's going to mean for a BDR to open an opportunity. So I want you as a BDR team leader, as a sales leader, to really be thinking about how you're going to define each of the different stages of your pipeline. Exactly what does your BDR need to have, what qualifications in order to book that opportunity. The next thing is obviously going to be same vein. What does an AE need to qualify an opportunity? The way that we do it here is we have 2 to 3 check marks included in our CRM, and every person has to be able to check those off before they can move somebody into the next stage. We happen to be an interactive content marketing platform. So for us, those bullet points might be something like buyer has a specific goal that we can help to solve, and buyer has a content marketing strategy. Once we have both of those things, we can open up an opportunity. Then as we start moving further down the pipeline, we're going to have different bullet points and requirements. And by doing this, we're really able to ensure that everybody on the team has the exact idea of what their pipeline looks like, and there isn't any kind of room for, gray area of where does this fall? I'm not really sure. I think that they're pretty qualified, but you could consider them qualifying. So by having these really solid definitions, it's going to help to keep more alignment on your team and ensure that everybody agrees that opportunities that are being opened are considered an opportunity. Another thing to think about is really the processes that have to be documented in this area. One of the ways that you're going to be able to motivate your sales teams is obviously through compensation and by doing fun things and by having happy hours and whatnot. But also having a streamlined documented process is one of the most successful ways that you can help the team really stay focused and aligned and make everybody seem happy going to work every day, because people know what their expectations are. People really like to have things lined out. So the first thing is really simple. What is the process for confirming a call? Is that handled by your BDR? Is that handled by your AE? Do you have an automated process so that way you can have emails sent out to confirm your call beforehand? If you're going to be sending over any kind of information before your phone calls, is there a process for that? Who's responsible for sending that over? Who determines what content is being sent? Another thing is going to be, what is the process for sending over resources before a call? Who is going to be responding to emails? It's not uncommon for prospects to send over an email before a phone call asking a bunch of different questions, and you need to know if the BDRs are responsible for that, if the AEs are responsible for that, or maybe you want to have that kind of culture that includes everybody acting as a team and knowing that they're going to be able to respond to these emails together, and you want them to have that mentality going into it, that anything that is something that can not be handled by a BDR, you want that AE involved. Another thing that you really want to document out is the process for rescheduling no-show opportunities. If somebody doesn't show up to an appointment, does it fall on the BDR to then try to get that appointment rescheduled? How long do they have to get it rescheduled before you want to make that opportunity close lost? Same vein is, let's say that BDR is out. You need to have a timeline and you need to have a realistic expectation for the AE to say, okay, you're now responsible for it if the BDR is out, or maybe the AE is supposed to be the one that's, rescheduling, depending on what your organization looks like. By having everything documented, there's never any room for what ifs, and it's really going to help your entire team understand and know exactly what the process should look like, which is going to help keep morale up. Similarly, what's the process for account ownership? For us, we used to open an opportunity by the BDRs, and then we would immediately transfer the entire account over to the AEs. And we would say like, okay, we're done working it. It's over to you now until you have your discovery call. It didn't really work out great for us for a number of reasons. For one thing, you're always going to have opportunities that don't show up to their scheduled meeting. So we would now have somebody that doesn't show up that ends up close losting, and that BDR has now lost their account, and it's in the AE's name for them to prospect. It really wasn't very fair. So we had to revamp our process, and we wanted to make sure that the BDRs are keeping the accounts in their name all the way through the process and then transferring it over once the opportunity has been moved to a certain stage. These are things that you really want to think about and lay out in order to make sure that your account ownership is completely fair. Similarly, what's the process for expanding the footprint within an account that you have an existing op with? So if your AE is prospecting, we'll say Scribble Live, then they need to know, are they the one that are going to continue working Ion? Are they going to work all the companies underneath Ion? Or are they going to be working all the companies within Scribble? By having this understanding, then the AEs know exactly what they're responsible for, and the BDRs know what they're responsible for. For some organizations, it might make sense for a BDR to be working multiple different departments within a certain organization. So by giving away an entire account, you're not going to be able to have that ability. Some people might want to organize it so that way you actually have an AE and a BDR that are teamed up together, and they're going to work all of their accounts at the same time. Knowing what works is really going to be up to you for your strategy, but you just want to have everything laid out again, because that is what is going to be the bread and butter of your success. If you don't know exactly what it should look like, then your team isn't going to know exactly what it should look like. And that's where you're really going to start to have things falling through the crack, and people aren't going to be as happy and, excited about their job every day. Another thing to be thinking about is how your BDR should be assigning calls out. So some people will do the round robin, and every AE just knows who's up next. And so it's really easy to manage from a managerial perspective. And all BDRs just say, okay, when you open your opportunity, that goes to Joe, next goes to Schmo. In doing that, it's really easy from a high level to make sure that people are getting assigned calls, but BDRs will sandbag their opportunities to try to get paired with the best AE. What we've actually found works really well for us is that we have the BDR manage their own individual round robin. So we look at the end of the month and see, okay, they had 16 opportunities open. We have 4 AEs. We should see here that they clearly have assigned 4 opportunities to each of the AEs. So you're able to track it, you're able to manage it, and you're able to make sure that all of your BDRs are fairly assigning out opportunities. Another thing to think about is how you're going to handle your processes for inbound versus outbound opportunities. Obviously, an inbound opportunity is going to be very different than an outbound opportunity, and it needs to be handled as such. For us, we know that our inbounds need to have more qualifying time on the phone. We want our BDRs to be having longer conversations with them. Outbound opportunities, when we're cold calling, and these are people that may or may not have ever even heard of our company, and they agree to an appointment, we don't spend as much time qualifying them because we're providing a list to our BDRs that says these people have a content marketing strategy. These are accounts we want to be going after. They have our right revenue size. So there's really less work from the outbound opportunity perspective than there would be for inbound. You also want to think about managing those in separate round robins. If inbound comes in, obviously these people are more inclined to purchase because they're the ones seeking you out for information. With that, you want to create a separate inbound round robin. And what we've found works really well is we have one person that manages all of our inbound opportunities. And so they're able to manage that round robin. Again, for that whole what if, we have a documented process that says if somebody, let's say me, I'm working an outbound account and I know that one of my accounts inbounds, then I'm still going to get credit for that. And if that deal closes, I'm going to get the opportunity because we're going to relay it to the fact that I've been actively working this account in the last 60 days. And we know that even though I'm not the one managing inbound accounts, my outbound account inbounded. So I'll still get compensated on that. Another section that I want to talk about is really how you're going to clarify those out of the norm situations, kind of like I just brought up, but you have to really think about the what ifs. If you think about football, There's never a question of, well, their toe was on the line, they had 1 foot down, at what point did they catch it, was they had possession. You have a pretty solid understanding of what the rules need to be. You know exactly how many feet need to be down, whether or not they have possession, whether or not they're in the end zone, or if their toe is on the line. There is literally something that states exactly what you have to look for, and that is what your sales team should look like as well. All of your processes should know exactly what to expect in any given circumstance. So you really have to think about those crazy outliers, and when they do come up, you have to put them documented alongside all of your other processes, because that's what's going to help keep everybody understanding what is truly fair and how your organization operates. It's not fair if you just choose what you think makes sense for person A, and then the same situation happens to person B 6 months later, and if they don't get treated with the same outcome as person A, then there could be some tension that grows amongst your team. The next section, which I think is really important, is how you're going to manage your communication between your BDRs and your AEs. One of the things that we have found works really well for us is by having this really family-like organization and culture. And we try to have all of our meetings included with all of our sales teams. We try not to separate BDRs and AEs all that often, because BDRs are trying to ramp up to AEs. So they should be in the meetings and understanding what the closing process looks like. As far as making sure that there is a smooth and streamlined communication process from your BDRs to your AEs, you should prompt some questions in your CRM that's specifically asking your BDR what they've learned when they're booking an appointment. So maybe that's, what kind of CRM are they using? Maybe you're using Bant, maybe you're using AIDA, maybe it's, what does their technology stack look like? Maybe it's something as simple as, do they have a content marketing strategy in place? Whatever questions you can prompt in your CRM to make sure that your BDRs know exactly what they need to have in order to open an opportunity and transfer that over. Another thing, which seems really simple, but actually for whatever reason, at least for us, was something that we really had to streamline, was making sure that all notes are taken in one location. You know, we have a tool that helps us with our phone calls. We have email. We have a CRM. We would find that people were taking some notes under call notes, some under opportunity notes. Then they'd send over an email to the AE that says, here is some extra notes about that opportunity that I just booked that I thought might provide some insight. And it was really creating some disalignment, and things were falling through the cracks. We had to take a real serious initiative to say that all notes need to be in this one spot in this CRM so that every AE knows exactly where to look. If for any reason there's more notes that don't fit within that little bubble, then you can put a note in there that says, see email for more details sent on X date. Reason being, that's going to make sure that no notes are slipping through the cracks and everything is getting to the people that it needs to. Like I mentioned earlier, creating a culture to get BDRs and AEs comfortable talking to each other is huge. Having group meetings with everybody in one setting is a really good way to do that. Having your stand-up meetings with everybody in the same room is a really good way to get BDRs and AEs talking about what they expect from their opportunities and what they expect from one another, and also helps to build and forge bonds as far as friendships go. We as a sales team have been trying to do more fun activities outside of work, little things like happy hours and, escape rooms. And as simple as these things sound, it really creates a culture where everybody acts more as a friend. So it isn't intimidating to go over to that guy and say, oh my God, I have this opportunity and they're rescheduling and I need you to do 5 things. Getting the BDRs and AEs used to talking to one another and having some kind of friendly bond makes it much easier to have your opportunity conversations appear natural instead of forced. That basically concludes my little session here. If you have any questions about how you can manage handoffs of an op, as far as what our best practices look like, what we've found success with, I'm more than happy to answer any questions and make myself available. You can find me on LinkedIn, Jackie Lipnicki at Ion Interactive. My title is Business Development Team Lead, and my Twitter handle is jlip at Ion. I would say that LinkedIn is the best way to get a hold of me, but you can definitely try me on Twitter as well.